What's up, YouTube? Big Dog here, back again for another edition of Big Dog Movie Reviews. Today we're discussing a movie I desperately wanted to see and made quite the trek to see this film. But more on that later, and I'll let you know if it was worth it or not with the trek I took. But this film is JoJo Rabbit. I've known about this movie for maybe when did it come out? I would say maybe like a month and a half now I've known about this movie, maybe a little longer, and I did some research on it, watched some trailers, desperately wanted to see it, so that's what I did. JoJo Rabbit, Big Dog's take, likes, dislikes, final score, final comments is the format as always, and then Miranda will sit in the background and be a good supporting actress. And do be forewarned, spoilers ahead for those who haven't seen this movie yet, even though it's been in cinema for about at least a week now, maybe even longer, but just in case, spoilers ahead. The story, the story was superb. It made complete sense to make a movie of this, and the reason I think it made so much sense to make a movie about a young boy growing up in Nazi Germany is because the story not only was an amazing story, but it was told amazingly. It was the way the story was told is what made the movie, the story was, how can I put this? The way the story was told is what made the story so amazing. It was told from an amazing perspective. Everything about the story was just, and it worked to be on cinema. It worked to be on film. I knew exactly what was going on for the whole film. I felt very engaged to it in the whole film, and it was just, the story was just amazing. The acting was pretty good, especially from the aspect of the kid actors. It's a movie about children for the most part, mainly a young boy. But obviously if it's a movie about that, there's going to be some kid actors. And two kid actors in particular, Thomasin McKenzie, who plays Elsa Core, and Roman Griffin Davis, who plays JoJo, the main character. Those two outshined any adult on screen. I take that back. Forgive me if I pronounce his name wrong, but Taika Waititi, the guy directing the film, who also played Adolf Hitler in the film. Those three did an amazing job, and I thought they absolutely knocked it out of the park, and they were just absolute scene stealers. And speaking of scenes, every scene in this film felt necessary. I felt there was no wasted time. I've seen many films out there where I see scenes which have no purpose to the large story of the film whatsoever. The exact opposite is the case for JoJo Rabbit. Every single second of the film was necessary. It has an hour 45-ish minutes of runtime, and every single second of that was needed for this film. No time was wasted, even from the aspect of like a normal non-animated movie. An hour 45 is on the short side, so it shows that shows they even put extra effort into not putting unnecessary scenes in the film. Comedic gold. Hilarious movie. I frequently found myself laughing very consistently for a large portion of this film, and with Yorkie, the little kid with glasses, and Adolf being standouts in the comedy realm. But I like, everyone was super funny. I'm not saying they were the only two funny ones, but they kind of stuck out the crowd in terms of comedy in my mind. But a super funny movie, and a movie I think a lot of films could learn from in terms of how to be funny. But so with that being said, it was a very funny movie, but towards the second, not even the second half, towards the sometime in the second half of the film, it took a very serious turn, but it wasn't a serious turn that felt unnecessary. It took a serious turn that was very reasonable. It was very fitting, and I felt it was definitely belonged in the film. And it's like in my mind, when it took the serious turn is when JoJo found his mom hanging from the noose for housing Elsa, a Jew, in her house. I thought it was a very powerful scene. Lack of music for while he's sitting there crying, hugging his mom's feet as he's trying to tie her shoe as she's hanging from the noose, which I'll get to the shoe tying later. But a very powerful scene, a very emotional scene that I felt was very intense and very necessary. And along with the scene where JoJo tells Elsa that Germany won the war, because he grows so attached to her, he doesn't want her to leave him. He's got a connection with this girl, which that quickly gets resolved. She quickly finds out that America won the war, the Allied forces won the war. But it was a very powerful scene where he's just sitting there as she's sitting in her hiding spot, not able to see him. He's lying to her through this wall, and you can see tears running down his face because he realizes her time with her was kind of coming to an end, and it also almost hurt him to lie to her about the war, about the conclusion, because he doesn't want her to, he wants what's best for her, but he's just felt such an emotional attachment to this girl. This young boy is so distraught by the situation he's put in, and it was just such a powerful scene, and I felt very attached to the characters. I felt very attached to the scene in the film. It would really draw out your emotions in a very positive way, and you really felt for the young boy of JoJo and just his life throughout the chosen time period of the film, and just how just the kind of emotional roller coaster he goes on. You feel for him very deeply. And much like as the film goes on, JoJo becomes closer and closer to this Jew girl, and he's starting to waver away from his Nazi beliefs. And Adolf Hitler, who is his imaginary friend, who is JoJo's imaginary friend in the film, it's a very interesting take on it. But like I said, the way the story was told was amazingly. But I said that already, so it was told from a large perspective from JoJo's imaginary friend Adolf Hitler. As funny as that sounds, but you can see as the film goes on and JoJo starts wavering further and further away from his Nazi beliefs, Adolf Hitler starts losing his mind slowly but surely. And I thought that was super interesting because it shows that he's really starting to question his beliefs as a young Nazi boy, but he's battling himself mentally and emotionally on his beliefs of the Nazi Party. It's something he grows up in the beginning of the film. He's very dedicated to his Nazi beliefs as a young boy. He wants to go take part in the war. He wants to go fight for the Nazi beliefs. But as the film goes on, you can especially tell through the imaginary Hitler's behavior, how JoJo's just battling himself mentally and emotionally with his beliefs. He doesn't know what to believe, and he starts slowly transitioning to a more traditional, everyone is created equal, it's not the belief. And I thought that was very well done and a very key aspect of the film that I thoroughly enjoyed. And I thought it really just spoke volumes about the film, and it was just such an interesting take and a very well done aspect of the film. I enjoy the shoe tying, as I mentioned. JoJo is a 10-year-old boy who can't tie his shoes, so his mom always has to tie his shoes for him. And it's just kind of always a key connection between him and his mom, is just her tying his shoes. And especially when he finds his mom hanging from the noose, he tries to tie her shoes to almost comfort himself, in a sense, because she would always do it for him. But as being a boy, he doesn't know how to tie his shoes. He can't do that, and just really breaks down emotionally because of that. I think that was just kind of what sent him over the edge when he saw that. But on the flip side, when it was ending, he was going to walk out of his house with Elsa, and him and Elsa were going to walk out of the house. But her shoe is untied, so he kneels down on one knee and ties her shoe correctly, which is... It may seem so insignificant to those who haven't seen the film, but those who have seen the film know just what I'm talking about. I have right here in my notes that it's a good constant thing that held a huge meaning in the film. It was a reoccurring aspect, but yet the film, it was such a small reoccurring thing, but the weight it carried to JoJo and to those watching the film was absurd. And the fact that he could tie Elsa's shoe at the end, just the whole thing kind of went full circle, and you can tell that it's ending on a very cheery note. And that is something I really enjoyed seeing of the film. Like I said, it was a very minor thing, but you could tell the Watiti, I'll just say his last name, knows he specifically wanted that little thing to play a huge part in the film, which paid off in dividends. And then the final like I have here is Captain K, who is like kind of the leader of the Nazi political party in the town that this movie takes place in. At the end of the film, he sacrifices himself for JoJo's freedom. And I thought it was a very interesting part of the film, because throughout the movie you get the sense that Coach K is just kind of there because he has to be, not because he wants to be. Makes it very clear he wants to go out and fight for the Nazi party, but he is stuck doing, for lack of a better word, boring stuff in this place, in this town. But the fact that he sacrifices himself for JoJo's freedom shows that he always did care. He did care about JoJo and the kids. And I just thought it was a very powerful scene. Once again, done very well and very, very well. I can't stress that enough. That showed just what kind of character Captain K is. I may have said Coach K, I don't know why. But Captain K shows that he just really did care about the kids and what he was doing. And it really just showed you a deeper level to this character. And it was a very powerful scene. And like I said, that was one of the serious scenes that I said. It's like the movie wrote a perfect line between comedy gold and stark, cold-hearted seriousness. And it rode that line perfectly. Absolutely faultlessly. And now for the dislikes. I have spent some time thinking about my list of dislikes here, in the sense that I spent a lot of time thinking about my list of dislikes. But the fact of the matter is, there aren't any. I could not find a single fault in this film. It was done so perfectly, so expertly, with such a clever way of doing things. Myself and the two friends I was watching this with thought it was faultless. Absolutely flawless movie. So, no dislikes for the first time in Big Dog Movie Review history, which, as I'm sure you guys can deduce, leads to the first ever Big Dog Movie Review movie to get a perfect score of 10 out of 10. Like I said, no flaws, and an absolute shame that this wasn't released in more theaters. I said I made a trek to see it. Me and my friends drove an hour and a half to see this movie. The closest theater to me was an hour and a half away, and we made the drive to see this movie, and I would do it again in a heartbeat. This film was so, so good, and the first movie I would deem flawless I've seen in a long time, and at least the first movie I've seen that I would deem flawless that's current in a long time. So, and like I said, it's extremely limited release, and it's even been in theaters for at least a week now, probably more. But if you have the chance to see this in theaters, if you're watching this while it's still in theaters, do make every single effort possible to watch it. And if that's just not an option, which I highly urge you to make it an option, once it comes out on DVD and streaming services, no excuse. You must watch JoJo Rabbit. Is a must-see in every aspect of the phrase. I will stand by this 10 out of 10 rating till the day I die. It was a very well-made film. Have no regrets about going and spending more time driving to and from my home to see it than I did actually watching the film. No regrets whatsoever. Do see JoJo Rabbit, 10 out of 10. But that's all I got. That's a review. It's going in the books. Much like Countdown is a history-making review here at Big Dog Movie Reviews, but for the exact opposite reason of Countdown. Countdown was the first to receive a 1 out of a 10. JoJo Rabbit, first to receive a 10 out of a 10. So, but as always, hit the video with a like. If you think I praised this movie enough, let me know. If you think it was worse, let me know. I welcome all challengers. I welcome you to change my mind. And I doubt you'll be able to with this one. But do let me know in the comment section what you thought of this film if you saw it. Like I said, there's probably not a whole lot of people who have seen it. But if you did see it and you're watching this, let me know your thoughts. And subscribe to the channel as always. I do movie reviews. I say what I like, what I didn't like about films. My life heavily revolves around movies, so I have just a passion for films that I'm showing you guys through this YouTube channel. So please do subscribe to the channel if you have the slightest interest in movies. I do all sorts of movies, so if you're a movie fan of the slightest, you should subscribe. And as always, if you want to get a little more involved in the channel, do follow the corresponding Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd corresponding accounts. I use those mainly to post when a new video is up. On Instagram, you get a sneak peek of the video. On Letterboxd, you do see the score beforehand, before you watch the video, due to the nature of the app. But I always include to watch my reasonings behind it in the Letterboxd post. But as all, JoJo Rabbit, mind-blowing film. Do go watch it. And when you're done with that, it'll motivate you to go out there and change the world for the better, as I believe you can do. And that's all I got today. I will see you guys next time on Big Dog Movie Reviews. And as always, like I said, change the world. See you later.